Today I'm sharing another portion of the interviews I've been doing with Granny Hicks. Her name is Rachel Virginia Hicks. She was a Gibby before she was a Hicks. I should put that in there. Now, she was born in the Junaluska section of Cherokee County here in western North Carolina where I live. She was born in 1926. She is a wealth of knowledge, and I've so enjoyed getting to visit with her over the last year. In these recent interviews, I've been asking her questions that folks on YouTube ask. They said, Tipper, would you ask her this? Would you ask her that? So that's what we've been discussing. Now, if you've missed any of the previous ones, I'll link to a playlist in the description below, and there's a whole playlist of videos with Granny Hicks that you can go watch. In this portion, we discuss things like the first time that she ever heard the radio, the first radio that she ever heard, what she thinks is the best invention since those days when she was a child, growing up in the mountains of Appalachia till today, what she thinks was the best invention during all those years. Of course, there's been tremendous changes. We also talk about how she used to wash her hair. What did she wash her hair in? That was one of the questions. And near the end, she shares just a heartwarming generosity that anybody that's ever met her knows that she has. You can just see it in her face, but she shares a story of it just in how she used to share with her neighbors. I hope you enjoy this video, and be sure to click on that link below in the description and go watch the other videos of Granny Hicks. Did you, in those days, did you go to like thinking about your community, to maybe you gather at people's houses to have a corn shucking or a bean breaking or something like that, a berry picking? Did you do stuff in groups like that just so you could have fun while you were doing the work?
Well, we did. Most of us didn't have time.
Yeah.
Time we got through, get with the children, and all once in a while, some of them would have a get together, but it wasn't very often.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the because to keep keep the children. Somebody keep the children, and let the other people, go to have. Something like that when they get something like that.
Yeah.
They mostly had prayer meeting, I think, was their gathering.
Was their gathering. Mostly when y'all got together, it was prayer meeting or church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you, at those, thinking about prayer meeting or church, did you have, was there a piano or was there music? Was somebody playing? I mean, of course you were singing, I'm sure, but.
They did, they got a piano. When we got out of church built, they had a piano, and then them Mostiller boys, A.V. and Ted and Gar Mostiller, they come to church. They walked down on Junaluska up there with their Bass was their grandpa, Bass Mostiller, and he'd walk with them kids, walk up there to church. And they could all make music. They pick and sing, but and they had good singing. Little choir, and Lewis was working at Canton then, and he I can't think of that man's name. He had a piano. It was a used piano, and he got a piano for him after I brought it, and. Cleo was the sister. Could play.
She could play? Oh,
well,
wow.
Lynn Morgan could. Lynn Morgan, Arthur Morgan's wife, she could play the organ, and she played the piano like playing the organ. And then Cleo got to playing it. What was that people that lived up above us, Wilma? Tippett, Miss Tippett. Miss Tippett got to showing Cleo. Cleo was this little girl, about 12 years old, I guess, something like that. Anyhow, she'd go up to Miss Tippett's, and Miss Tippett played the piano, and she showed Cleo things on the piano, and that helped Cleo a lot. And she
could play.
She got to play the piano.
Oh, that's nice. Thinking about, like you were talking about from those days, the differences from then till now, what do you think's the best invention? Like, do you think it was the washing, you talked about washing out by the creek. Is it the washing machine, or is it the refrigerator so you don't have a spring house anymore? What do you think's the best invention?
I think the washing machine would be the best.
Yeah, yeah. I'd have to agree, and I never did even have to do that work you're talking about, but it's a lifesaver, isn't it?
Yeah, you can put your clothes in
Yeah.
and go on, and then go take
Go
them out.
back out, yeah. Even if you didn't have a dryer, you could hang them up. But,
It just saves, give you a little more time for something else
Yeah.
while you're doing something else.
Right, yeah. Like you were saying, again, we can't, people like me can't understand what that was like because I never lived like that, and so many of the skills are gone from then, of course, because you don't need to know. You've got a washing machine. You don't need to know how to wash clothes. But what do you think? Is there any that you wished hadn't went away? People that knew how to do stuff then, and we don't even know how to do it today. Probably lots of them. Probably lots of different things.
I guess.
There's not many people even cook today. Not as many people. And of course, you think about building a fire and heating your house. Not many people do that.
Lots of them don't can foods.
That's true.
Everybody's trying to get foods to put in the cans or dry or something.
Yeah.
Back then, so they're not that much into it anymore.
Yeah.
Like there was then.
And
Yeah, and it is amazing how times have changed.
Yeah.
And not going somewhere else. I didn't think nothing about it. When Roy was working off, like I said, you had your ration books, and he had to have one for his car, to go to work. Some of the men rode home with him and ride back. They worked at Fontana then, I think it was, and he had to go. He couldn't take off. He'd come on Friday evenings and go back Sunday evenings, or get up early and go Monday morning. He usually went back on Sunday evenings, and they stayed at a camp over there. But it was kind of hard for him to get up early enough to go back. And he needed his book for his gas. And so I was taking care of Alyssa's grandmother, so I got Bud to come stay with her, and Cleo was just, and Roy was the baby. And I don't know, pretty close, he's over a year old anyhow. I got him, and me and Cleo walked to town from where I lived on Junaluska.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
We walked to town and got his stamp book or whatever it was, because you couldn't get it on Saturday or Sunday. You had to get there in the week.
That was a long way. That was a long walk.
I didn't pay a bit more attention to that, nothing.
Yeah.
I could.
Hill coming home.
Yeah. So in those days, you didn't even think twice about it. You was just like, I walked to town. Yeah.
I used to, we lived up at Hooper place after Hoopers got killed, and Daddy'd say, "Sis, you want to go down to see Daddy and Mammy?" He called his mama Mammy. And they lived at Baldwin Branch, started up Junaluska, the second bridge. You cross the old Junaluska Schoolhouse Bridge. The next bridge you cross, the house up the driveway goes right there, the end of the bridge goes up like that. A house you can see. That's my grandma and grandpa Gibby's house.
Oh.
Daddy and his brother built that house after the First World War. Yeah.
So he'd ask you and y'all'd walk down there?
Yeah, we'd walk down there and stay with them some on Sunday, and then walk back home that evening.
Yeah, and everybody walked.
That'd be it.
Do you remember the first time you ever heard a radio?
First time I ever heard a radio, my daddy brought one home.
Oh, wow, okay.
He was the first person on Junaluska that had a radio.
Oh, wow, yeah.
He liked gospel music, and he got, we used to have a record player,
Yeah. Do you remember what you like to hear on it? Do you remember any of the
The
music?
that Carter family.
The
Did you ever
Carter
hear
family.
the Carter
I
family?
did, yeah.
That was his favorite singers. He had a.
Did you ever listen to on it? Didn't in those days, weren't there on the radio? There would be like kind of like stories, people telling stories, kind of like TV, but on the radio. Or maybe it was a series that you listened to every week.
They wasn't very much. I can't remember all the things it was on the radio.
Yeah.
His record player was the most important thing to me. I loved to hear those records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Carter family. Did you have some of those?
Oh yeah, he had several. When he one to come in down our bit of south. He had records and record thing. We had one of these big, beautiful, long ones, about this, how long, and high. The record player.
Wow.
They call them phonographs or graph-phones.
Yeah.
What they call them back then. You cranked it up with your hand.
Yeah. Did other people ever come to your house to listen to it?
Sometimes they did.
Yeah.
They'd have it like on a Saturday night, and Alyssa's dad had one of these, looked like a suitcase, and used to he'd have it down at his house, and he'd have them come to his house sometimes especially during when school wasn't going on, and they'd have a dance, and they'd get in there and cook a midnight supper, and they'd some of the men that had fiddles and guitars would come sometimes and make music, and they'd have dances on a Saturday night, and that was about the only recreation they had. But people, and then they'd go home and get up the next morning. Of course, they didn't have to, most of them didn't have to get up early unless they had cows to milk on Sunday morning.
Yeah. Is that the kind of music you still like today? Gospel music?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
This is a crazy question, but if somebody wanted to know how you used to wash your hair, like when you didn't have shampoo, what did you use?
We just used plain soap.
Plain soap, yeah.
It's like taking a bath. That's what we used to wash our hair with. We didn't wash it every week. When we thought it was dirty enough, we washed our hair.
Yeah.
Heat you some water and pour it in a wash tub and take it in the bedroom.
Wash your hair.
I remember doing that as a kid too, and we'd fight to see who'd be the first one to take the bath because we used the same water for 3 or 4 kids.
Yeah.
And we were all the time barefoot and
dirty.
Yeah. Did you ever take a bath in the creek?
We'd play in the creek, but I never did. That creek water is cold.
Yeah, I know. It's cold no matter what time of the year, isn't it? Yeah. Did your family ever do anything with either acorns or hickory nuts? I bet hickory nuts, probably not the acorns, but hickory nuts. Did you ever, your mom or anybody ever cook with them?
No. My daddy used to go hunting with somebody, and he'd pick me up some chestnuts sometimes, and hickory nut or hickory nuts out in the woods, where they'd be hunting. Bring them in. We'd just crack them and eat them.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Did you like black walnuts too?
I like black walnuts too. Yeah. Daddy used to. He always tried to get us some black walnuts at Christmas time, so Mama could make a black walnut cake.
I love black walnuts.
She's had bread pans about this long. She cooked her biscuits in, and she'd make a black walnut cake and they're good.
I bet that was delicious. And you were telling me earlier, you already mentioned it, but about butter. You churned every other day. Is that what you said? So you was making a lot of butter in those days.
Yeah, some of them I'd give people butter and milk when we had extra milk and butter, because some of them didn't have cows,
Yeah. Did most families have cows, or did it kind of go and come? Like maybe you'd have one, and then you'd lose it, or something had happened to it, and it'd be a while before you got another one.
Well, when Lewis was working off, when we was living off, we lived in Tennessee some, and around when he was working on those dams, and I didn't have a cow back then. You know, it was just when I was at home after we come back and had our children and all at home. We had our cow, and when he was home, he'd do some milking when he was home.
Yeah. Did you
She still milked a cow when I was in high school.
Did you milk once a day or twice a day?
You milk twice a day.
Twice a day.
You get up and work, milk in the morning, and turn your cow out, and then in the evenings she'd come up and we fed her and milked her. Yeah, you milked them twice a day. I had a 10-quart water bucket, milk, full of milk, good foamy milk, and take it and strain it up and put it in a, let it give the cream comes to the top mostly, and you can pour that cream off and you churn. That's where your butter comes from. And then the next, you know, it's darker and thicker on top, and you put that in the churn. And then the other kids drank milk all the time too. Cooked too. And I'd give some people, I'd give them milk. I'd give Cully milk, and I'd give Harriet milk. Harriet's kids love the milk and butter.
I bet, yeah.